a cool case with Lisa Rinna, star of television, of the Housewives shows, and one of my favorite shows of all time, Melrose Place. Uh, she's finding herself in Instagram kind of situation. We kind of covered something similar with Emily Ratajkowski a couple of weeks ago. Dealing with the reposting pictures that a paparazzi will take
Reposting
on
pictures.
your Instagram without permission. And this is a practice that a lot of people do on Instagram. Maybe not necessarily, from paparazzi pictures, but people are posting pictures that other people are taking, or when they're dealing with photographers, or just reposting. And so this is a situation that's coming from a lawsuit.
Yeah. So
Lisa,
oh, go
no,
ahead.
go
Sorry.
ahead. No, no, you.
Well, I was just going to kick us off by recapping. So, when we covered Emily's situation, same thing. You see a cute picture of yourself that the paparazzi took, you repost it real quick. And in Emily's case, it was her story, right? She didn't even actually post it to her feed. Lisa, on the other hand, did. And she did, I believe, 8 pictures. So, what we had covered on the last video was under copyright law, if you willfully, right? So, you intentionally take someone's copyright, right? So you take their picture, you republish it without their permission. That's automatic copyright infringement. If you did not have permission, and because it's willful, you can get up to $150,000 per infringement. So in this case, if we're talking about 8 pictures, 8 times $150,000, that's how we get to that 1.2 mil. All right, go ahead.
So Lisa Rinna speaks out about her $1.2 million lawsuit for posting paparazzi photos of herself and her daughters, Delilah and Amelia. Lisa Rinna is being sued for her Instagram activity. No, it's not because of the dancing videos. I'll throw a little shade on her for her dancing videos. I'll go skip past that. The mess all started back in June when Backgrid, a celebrity photo agency, filed a copyright infringement lawsuit based on 8 watermarked paparazzi pictures Rinna posted on Instagram. Court documents published by LA Times claim that Rinna violated federal law by willfully infringing Backgrid's copyrights to at least 8 photographs. The pictures were run of the mill paparazzi snapshots of Rinna and her daughters. Backgrid claims that she hurt her chances of selling the photos by sharing them on her Instagram feed. After all, she does have 3 million followers. Therefore, they are suing her for a whopping 1.2 million in damages.
Yeah,
So
so they're
that's
saying
where it
that
gets complicated.
yeah.
That's where you're kind of like, I get it.
Right, because they're alleging, and guys, this is kind of two different things. They're alleging there was basically dilution of value. Like, for example, you buy a car, you get a wedding ring, you get whatever. As soon as you walk out of the store, as soon as you drive off the lot, your purchase is devalued. So in the same
Right.
kind of way, they're like, they publish the pictures. Why would we try it? Why would we be able to sell them and get that value? But again, the higher chunk of change and the other side of this is that they are called statutory damages. It doesn't matter if we can prove the lost value was $50,000 or something. Copyright law sets
Right.
forth if you did it willfully, then the claimant can get up to $150,000 per infringement. Now, you're going to keep going through the article, and it's going to talk about how this company, has done this. And this is part of her argument. She goes, well, number one, these pictures aren't worth 1.2 million, right? So she's like, we're wearing masks, my kids are in masks, like I don't even understand this. And for me, that just tells me that there's a misunderstanding about the fact
Right.
that this is statutory. It's like if you're speeding, it doesn't matter if you didn't mean to, you're still getting that ticket. So
Well,
that's
also,
one.
and yeah, I mean, it just from just the clear cut, just point of it, sure. But then also that also shows that she just doesn't even understand the business. It's not for the person to decide what their paparazzi photos are worth. It's what the magazine will pay for whatever or whatever. Lisa Rinna is a very controversial figure. She's very outspoken, and so these things could be worth money. It's not for her to decide what the price would have been on it.
Well, and
So I'm
obviously this
as
issue
far as
hasn't
that.
come up because it sounds to me like any of her attorneys that have ever represented her in the many decades of her very successful career in the entertainment business, it sounds like no one's ever explained this to her because she goes, look, I've always had this super friendly relationship with the paparazzi. We've always been respectful. They jump out of bushes and scare me half to death, but like we're friendly. We let them take pictures. She sounds like a nice lady. But but it sounds like she still didn't understand this whole simple thing of when you post something that you don't own and the potential liability that carries with that. Because then she goes on, she goes, well, a part of kind of my argument that this seems sort of sleazy is that this particular person or company, they've filed, I think it's 50
Right. Yep.
50
Yeah.
lawsuits, and 3/4 of those were during COVID, all, for the same thing. So she goes, it just seems like this is ambulance chaser kind of activity. And quite frankly, I have conversations with my clients where I go, hey, understand that there are people and companies out there that are just waiting. They're just waiting for you to make that mistake. And if they know you have money, you're going to get slapped with a lawsuit, because at the minimum, then you're going to settle. You won't go to the end, because if it's a statutory thing and you broke the law, you're going to have to pay out the nose. So it's, trust me.
And the thing of it is, this stuff
good.
is, and all these lawsuits, especially with Emily Ratajkowski, this Lisa Rinna, it's setting precedent. It's opening up the doors where you're going to see a lot more of this happening, because it is, especially if these cases just keep coming out, or come out like victorious, for these paparazzi. And whether or not you agree or think, paparazzi is, sleazy, or it's just whatever, that has nothing to do with how the world works, or the fact that they are here and it is their business, and they do have the rights to do whatever they're doing. And so yeah,
so for any of my artists, entertainers, music business owners, just be very careful with what you share and what you reshare. And if you don't own it and you haven't talked to an attorney, like for example, there are exceptions. You can share some stuff. It just depends on whether there's an exception, but the general rule, just don't. If you don't have the right, if you don't own it, and don't expose yourself, because this is a bad day.
But I just see just Lisa just being more vocal and just like, what's the big deal? Because she's a wild card. She's a wild gal. You know what I mean? Like some of my I listen a lot of Howard Stern, and if you ever get the old like Lisa Rinna interviews when she's on there, like she's wild. She's she's a party, but she's definitely entertaining. So we'll see how this goes. I wish her luck, but then you know what I mean. Like I said, I have a soft spot anyway.